to be able to just make a choice on your own and just be able to speak for yourself.
This one's wife. Does she know she is a narcissist? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. It is a question that I am often asked. Does this one's wife know that she is a narcissist? And therefore, it is a question that bears answering. This one's wife is a narcissist. I recognised this many years ago in relation to my own dealings with her. However, that conclusion became underpinned, emphasised, underlined, describe it how you will, as a consequence of the various behaviours that were witnessed as she became all the more prominent and subject to more scrutiny. This led me to explain in an article that I wrote on my blog over 7 years ago that she was a narcissist, and thereafter, as more and more people became interested in her behaviours, I spoke more and more about her, analysing her behaviours to help people understand why she behaves as she does, answering questions about her behaviour to reinforce that it's driven by her narcissism, and helping people understand more about narcissism as a whole by using her as an example. People have queried, does she watch your channel, HG? Does she watch other people's channels? There is no doubt that despite her protestation to the contrary, that this one's wife not only looks at what's reported about her in mainstream media, but also on social media. The reason for this is that as a mid-range type A narcissist, she can't help but want to know what's being said about her. More evolved narcissists, the greater and the ultra, may have a passing interest in what is stated by the hoi polloi, but will largely be dismissive of it and not particularly interested because they've got more important things to deal with, and their fuel needs are met, not as a consequence of reading the tittle-tattle that's written about them, but in far more proximate ways. For someone like this one's wife, who relishes the fame that she has attained, indeed, it is hugely important to her. Her narcissism repeatedly causes her to want to find out what is being written about her in order to ensure that the audience is under control and, of course, to receive the fuel that is provided. This means that she wants to know what's being stated about her in the newspapers, across broadcast media, and also on social media. She can't help herself but go and look. This is a combination of the fact that she has a lot of time on her hands because she doesn't have a proper job, that she has nannies looking after the children, and as a consequence of the fact that her fuel needs are such that her narcissism basically regards the output of tertiary sources, the public, the press, etc., as meaningful within the context of fuel received, and therefore causes her to want to go and find out. She essentially has a habit of going to see what is being written about her, listening to what is being said about her by various commentators. And as you know, amongst all of the commentary that has taken place in respect of this one's wife, she has been called a narcissist. I was the initial lone voice, but over time, more and more people have cottoned onto that idea, many having seen what I've explained in relation to her, and in some instances formed their own conclusions based upon witnessing her behaviour. But you see more and more these days people in the press referring to her narcissism or narcissistic behaviour, and you also see more and more people below the line and in comment section talking about her being a narcissist. This means that this one's wife will know that she's labelled as a narcissist. She will know. Given the fact that 1, she is, 2, she behaves as a narcissist behaves, and 3, people call her a narcissist and explain why, would she then understand and accept that she is a narcissist? After all, given that there is so much evidence of her behaviours, and commentary about the same that links it to her narcissism, presumably she would look at this and have a moment of clarity, a road to Damascus moment, where it suddenly dawns on her, do you know what? I am a narcissist, aren't I? Look, this fellow Tudor has set it out in considerable detail. He's identified the evidence and linked it to the behaviours that accord with the narcissist. Now I see it. I understand. That is what I am. Well, the answer is no. She knows that she's called a narcissist. She knows that people label her as one, but she doesn't know that she's one, and she doesn't accept her labeling. This is how the narcissism works in respect of any form of criticism of the narcissist. It's not allowed to land. You see, the narcissist is the best. The narcissist is superior. And that has to be maintained in order to allow the narcissist to pursue the prime aims. If there is any acceptance, genuine acceptance, and remember the narcissist can sometimes play humble and admit fault, but it's not genuine, it's just another manipulation. If a narcissist were to admit that they were genuinely wrong, that they were not the best, that they were at fault, that they were a narcissist, that would cause the construct to come crashing down, because it has been not only penetrated, but smashed to smithereens. Unaware narcissists that form the vast majority of narcissists are not allowed to know what they are. It's almost like a contract between their form of narcissism and them. Picture it this way. When that individual was a child and was unable to develop the appropriate coping mechanisms, narcissism popped up. So think of narcissism like some kind of god. And narcissism popped up and said, hello, little boy. I see you're struggling to deal with life around you. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bolt onto you an operating system which will enable you to cope with the world around you. But the only thing is, you're not allowed to know what it is and what it does from this moment forward. That's going to be wiped from your mind. Do you agree? Yes. And thus, that operating system is provided to the narcissist, and it enables the narcissist to always deal with the issue of control. It allows the narcissist to go after fuel, character traits, and residual benefits, to survive and to thrive. But they don't know that's what they're doing, and they don't understand why they behave the way that they do, because as part of that contract with the god of narcissism, they are not afforded that knowledge. Other narcissists are allowed to know what they are, but they're much rarer. And that isn't applicable to this one's wife, because she is an unaware mid-range type A narcissist. And therefore, her narcissism cannot allow her to accept that she is boring. It cannot allow her to accept that she's rubbish at the things that she does. It cannot allow her to accept that she's controlling or that she is hungry for fuel. It cannot allow her to accept that she's intrinsically an awful person. It cannot allow her to accept that she uses people for personal gain and exploits interpersonal relationships. It cannot allow her to accept that she's haughty and dismissive and arrogant. And it cannot allow her to accept that she is a narcissist. Even though the evidence is there, and even though that evidence is correct, there's like a blind spot for her. Each time you present to her, you are a narcissist, here's the evidence, her narcissism simply rejects it. It doesn't allow her to see the evidence in the way that you would see it. It causes her to dismiss it, regard it as unreliable, regard it as biased, prejudiced, made up, or simply inaccurate. No matter how compelling that evidence is, the narcissist will reject it. And it's similar in the way that the narcissist will reject evidence that shows that they've committed a criminal offence. That didn't happen. It's not how it's described. That person's making it up. Okay, it did happen, but I had to do that because of the way that I had been treated. Yes, it did happen, but the person deserved it, and therefore I'm not at fault. There can never be any genuine acceptance, admission, self-reflection by the narcissist, which also includes the issue of whether they are a narcissist or not, when they are an unaware narcissist. And thus, similarly with this one's wife, although there is mountains of evidence that demonstrates that she is a narcissist, that whilst there is a plethora of material that supports that she is a narcissist, and you could sit her down and you could present it all day long, her narcissism would just keep rejecting it because it's not allowed to let her know that she is a narcissist, because that is seen as stigmatic and critical, which would then threaten her need for control. And because that need for control is absolute, any suggestion that she is anything less than wonderful and perfect and amazing and so forth must be rejected. And that's what the narcissism does. She knows she's called a narcissist, but she doesn't accept it, and will be able to provide you with a multitude of reasons as to why that information is inaccurate, even though it's not. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.